If I can be half the musician that you are good looking, Joel, I would be doing okay.
The kingdom will be in good shape. This is the most depressed and most medicated that the world has ever been in the history of human civilization. And the beauty is there, but people aren't seeing it, or no one is presenting it to them. Again, fellow brothers and sisters, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are listening or watching this video. We are beginning the series on the ache for beauty, and what better couple to start it with than one of the most beautiful we've ever seen.
Get out of here.
Definitely the most beautiful this studio has ever seen. But yeah, we wanted to open things up with the people who made this possible. This studio, when Kate and I were first touring it, we noticed two of our favorite saints on the back wall. Kate is a big fan of decor and loves the decor of this room.
Great aesthetic.
Yay, thank you.
Very aesthetic. And we just wanted to talk about how this ache for beauty has propelled, obviously, millions of people to dive into music, but you specifically to dive into ministry and a life living and working together, which is a life that Kate and I aspire to someday, so pray for us. But yeah, we just wanted to start with Nick and Alina de Torre, so you just introduce yourselves to those who might not know how beautiful you are.
Wow. Well, Joel, thank you for setting the stage. It's such an honor to be here.
Good. In
the studio for your show.
Our studio.
I said the studio.
The studio, yeah, smart.
Yeah, Alina and I are, if you don't know who we are musicians, we're evangelists, speakers, and as of recently, we run AWAKEN Catholic, AWAKEN Catholic media, AWAKEN Catholic events, and I love that your show and the premise of what you're trying to do with your ministry hones in on beauty and the ache that we all have for that. That was a major tenet for us before we started AWAKEN, was even in our work just as artists and evangelists. It's all over our website, the website that we've had as artists for a couple of years. The idea that our mission as a couple, as artists, as speakers, and as a married couple, our mission is to bring truth to people through beauty, introduce souls to truth through beauty. And I think, like, for too long, we have had an American Catholic Church that when there is a concern for truth, it is too often detached from beauty. If the truth isn't beautiful, it's really not the fullness of truth. Even if it is under the Catholic umbrella, it's not the fullness of truth. If it's not appealing, then you're delivering something that isn't the truth. And so our goal, our mission through our music, through our speaking, through the things that we're going to be publishing in the future, and through AWAKEN media, our goal is to present truth in its fullness, in beauty, in an appealing and attractive way that inclines hearts to it. Because for me, growing up, like, I grew up a cradle Catholic. Alina, you can share a little bit about your background in a moment. Like, I grew up cradle Catholic. I did not have an appreciation for what I had. Amen. I did not have an appreciation for it. I was not attracted to it. And ultimately, I left it. I left the church and left faith. In the end, altogether. Not in the end. In the end, I'm here. But yeah, I ended up leaving faith altogether. Like, it was just so unappealing and made so little sense to me. And facts don't make sense by themselves when they are deprived of their beauty. And so that's why it matters so much to me to present it that way as a parent to my kids and to everyone that I encounter.
I was raised Protestant all my life, and then I met Nicholas and was determined to convert him to the Protestant faith, which I did successfully for a couple of years. And then we went to a Christopher West talk, And Christopher West changed our lives. At first, I thought it was for the worse because Nick became super Catholic again after being an atheist.
True.
And then I spent a year after breaking up with him, determined to prove the Catholic Church wrong. So that was fun. And then I converted. So
Didn't quite go as planned.
no, it did not. I could not argue the truths. And they were presented to me in a beautiful way. There was a lot of Eucharistic adoration that really moved me. And I'm a very emotional being, so God knew it would take, piercing through my heart to like reveal the truth to me about the Catholic faith. So yeah, adoration was huge. And the beautiful people that I met at St. Thomas More at BGSU, like they changed everything. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So the man behind Awake the Ache, the man we referenced on our retreat last summer, is Christopher West.
Oh, yes.
As part of our engagement, I took Kate to
We'll have to have him on the show.
the TOB.
Yeah.
Oh, he's coming on the show. For
If we can
sure.
fit him in.
True. Yeah, that's right. Busy schedule. A lot of guests booked up. But it's so cool that, Christopher West transformed your guys' lives. He transformed mine. It was one of those experiences where you get so frustrated. I think a lot of people have that, especially if they've been raised cradle Catholic. You have this frustration that why wasn't this shared in this way before?
Yes.
Why didn't anyone tell me? I think you're right. There's a detachment from beauty that we've never seen before. Here's a figure, a fact that explains even the greater purpose for beauty in this world. This is the most depressed and most medicated that the world has ever been in the history of human civilization. And the beauty is there, but people aren't seeing it, or no one is presenting it to them.
What's crazy about that is we are the most advanced civilization that has ever existed on the planet. And we're the most connected we've ever been, technologically,
True.
at least.
True.
And it's incredible how it's so counterintuitive that we would be so advanced, so connected, but so we've regressed so much, and we have disconnected so much.
Amen. Yeah, we numb ourselves to beauty, and I think Alina pointed out something beautiful is the piercing that can occur when you're exposed to true beauty. So in your guys' lives, even back to your childhood, was there a piercing moment that you then ignored, like most of us do at a young age, that you can look back on and think, oh, that was God. That was beauty in its fullest.
You probably didn't ignore it.
I didn't ignore it.
Freaking goody two shoes over here.
Oh, let's go.
We Protestants, we know. I don't know.
Oh,
I
man,
loved
that's
my
awesome.
Protestant roots, so I'm a Catholicant. So
I've never heard that one.
Nice. That's
Catholicant.
Yeah.
That's rich.
So
That's rich.
I
That's
remember
rich.
the first time that God really pierced my heart was actually at a play that Dayspring Assembly of God used to put on. And it was like a reenactment of the Passion. And it was really cool. It was like a musical, and they had like scary demons that would come out and do this cool dance to the Lion King song. And it was just awesome. It was really cool. As a kid, I think I was
It's very accurate to the biblical account.
Right.
I think
it
I've
just-
seen that movie.
But it was really cool because it like softened my heart, even as a 6 or 7 year old. I think it was 6. And I got home that night and I just started weeping. I told my mom, I want Jesus in my heart, because like it moved me so much.
Wow.
So I prayed the sinner's prayer and like accepted Christ into my heart and all that stuff. So
Boom.
I don't know. I've always been very sensitive to everything. So I think that
Beautiful.
it's like a good thing and a bad thing, because like
Yeah.
I
sensitive
feel
to-
that deeply
Yes,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah. So before Alina and her beauty pierced your heart, did you have any encounters with the divine?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Huge. But I had no idea.
Okay. Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Man, I got baptized on January 10th, 1988. But I was oblivious
Or like a month old.
because I was a month old.
True. Tough to
Biggest
be aware.
thing that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And
But I have no recollection. And then in second grade, I received First Holy Communion. A few weeks before that, I had my first confession with Father Leland.
You remember?
Oh, yeah.
That's
What did you say?
Wow, that is impressive.
Father Leland, brother, of Coach Leland of the Florida Marlins.
No.
Oh yeah, when the Florida Marlins went to the World Series,
Yeah.
we stopped school. We had a congregation in the gymnasium with
my gosh.
one of those antique televisions that it was probably about this big, and the entire school was watching the World Series on TV that was this big.
Hilarious.
That is awesome. That's my kind of beauty, right?
Yeah.
We're so old.
Anyways, that Father Leland, really, really beautiful guy. But yeah, so he was the pastor where I was a parishioner with my family and went to school.
But you didn't know.
I didn't know the way that I know now, at least.
Right. Amen.
Yeah.
So did you have an experience that we had where now that you know and have seen it in the way, in the beautiful, the true good and the beautiful, there was just this ache to share it with everyone else? Is that what you've experienced since Christopher West changed your life?
Joel.
The
Joel.
ache. Dude, do you have a phrase? Do you guys have a phrase for when something like stirs you so badly that
Yes.
you don't? What is it?
You?
Frick.
Oh no.
Yep. Amen.
Yep.
Amen. Alina, do you have?
A phrase?
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean,
You just cry. Just tears.
yeah, lots of tears usually. Lots of crying.
No, yeah. I mean, I think the thing that for me was so striking was I had never heard anyone talk about sex the way that Christopher did at that event. I had never, especially, not only had I never heard anyone talk about sex so openly and so with authority, right? Like it wasn't like some topic that he was like kind of bashful about. Like he was like, here is the truth about it.
Yeah.
And he was communicating it with passion and love. So not only had I never heard anyone do that, but I had also never heard, especially never heard anyone do that in the context of faith or church, religion. The only people I'd ever heard talk about sex before that point in such a flagrant, carefree way were people that were doing it in a sinful context, talking about it in a way that was immoral or, depraved of the fullness of the beauty of sex. And so to hear what he said the way he said it, and then even specifically for me, because of some of the things that took me into atheism, like concerns about objective truth and how I wasn't seeing it in Christianity, when he talked about how the church's teachings have never changed in 2,000 years and how they never will and they never could, because the truth is always the truth, it suddenly unlocked something in my heart that was like, wait a second, maybe I could be open to this in a more serious way again.
Nice.
Because no one had ever talked about truth that way to me in any of, like, even as a Catholic, as a cradle Catholic, no one had ever said those things that way, or at least I didn't have ears to hear it. So, and I especially never heard anyone talk about it that way in Protestant circles. In Protestant circles, I just kept running into have faith like a child. And it's like, I don't think that's what that means. I don't think it means shut off your brain and follow along, robot. I don't think that's what that is. So anyways, everything changed after that night. I was so stricken. It led me down this rabbit hole of pursuit. I started to allow myself to be pursued by the Lord, and I started to pursue the Lord and truth. And I just,
I love how you guys keep talking about truth and beauty, like they go together.
Yeah, they do.
And when we are striving to be like fully integrated people, like we realize we can't leave some of these things out.
yes. Amen.
Yeah. Was there ever a time in your life that you were not like, that you just felt yourself deeply seeking and wanting that beauty and that truth to align, but you weren't getting answers?
Yeah, for me, definitely, like, during me and Nick's big breakup, when I was trying to figure out who was right, the Protestants or the Catholics or the, Christian Jews, like, who was the correct church to turn to? And I just remember so many times I would always go to, like, nature to find God. And so I would, like, go out in the woods and literally just beg God for answers. And those were heartbreaking times. Like, it was really rough because my whole world was shifted because I was so firm about everything I had been taught in the Protestant faith. And I had been taught, like, Catholics were bad. And I didn't see very many good witnesses to the faith until St. Thomas More and those awesome people But yeah, that was a huge ache, like just yearning for the truth and being lost during that time.
Yeah.
But it was also a powerful but beautiful experience. Like looking back now, in the moment it was awful.
Right.
Yeah.
But looking back, it's like I can see the pure asking. I had no, like I just had no. What am I trying to say? I don't know. But it was good and bad at the same time.
Yeah.
It was
Praise
aching.
God. It was aching. Yeah.
Well, he was able to work through that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the hardness of heart, I think, is something that has prevented people from receiving our Lord for millennia, and I think the topic that we specifically love, how you guys are utilizing it is something that has been piercing hearts for eternity, and that's music. Somehow music puts words, and oftentimes the Lord will use genres of music that we wouldn't anticipate, but the music and the power of song can pierce the hardest of hearts at the most random times. Is there a song in your guys' life that was on replay, or you guys have put it on repeat even nowadays?
You first.
Maybe your own
Like a
music?
Christian song?
No,
or
a
just
song that
any
pierced.
song?
A song that pierced. I remember listening,
man.
my first breakup song was Lonely, or Mr. Lonely by AWAKEN. I remember with a little MP3 player going into my dad's closet and hiding behind the clothes. 7th grade, some girl rejected me, and I just listened to that song. And I was like, wow, now, in language I will use now. I didn't use this language back then, but wow, AWAKEN is aching. Like the aching AWAKEN just yearns to not be lonely anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, very secular song. Not even one that I would necessarily recommend, but at that point in my life, it spoke to the emotions of my heart in a way that, nothing else could.
Yeah. Kate, did you have one of those?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. We can come back to that.
Nick, how about you? Linkin Park?
Well, I think when I was...
Dude, they ache.
R.I.P. All of their songs are aching. And Chester Bennington, one of the two vocalists for the band, I mean, he literally took his own life. That you could hear it in the lyrics of the songs, and anyone would be crazy to not have seen that there was something wrong there. All of their music was about the ache. I mean, really everyone is expressing the ache in one way or another.
So true.
And artists obviously have a really particular platform or way in which they do that. But yeah, I think when I was a kid, probably Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain.
For real?
It's a jam. I'll give you that.
Jam. So I had it on repeat for sure.
Okay, you just got some cred.
Nice.
No, but I think
Earning brownie
even
points
though
for
I
Kate.
wasn't relating to the feeling of being a woman, but a lot of the things that she talks about in that song are really interesting. Like, you're one of those guys that likes to shine his machine. You make me take off my shoes before you let me get in. And she kind of identifies these different types of men who are really staking their worth on these external, very vain and very shallow things. And she's basically saying to these guys, that doesn't really impress me.
Wow.
Can you sing it for us, Nick?
You're one of those guys that likes to shine his machine. You make me take off my shoes before you let me get in. I can't believe
get
you kiss
flagged.
your car at night. No.
Okay.
Come on, baby. Tell me. You must be joking, right? All right, anyways, so
That don't impress me much.
that don't impress me much.
Not Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
I think it's Feel Like a Woman.
They're different songs.
Okay, Google.
Oh, no.
What is the song "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain? Oh my gosh, you're
Let's go,
absolutely
girls.
right. Okay, I am
'Cause
sorry.
That was a jam. That was a jam.
It was.
But that don't impress me much.
Okay, Google, stop.
Is also
No, but "Don't
a
Impress Me
jam.
Much" is the song I was
Yeah.
thinking of. Thank
I
you.
was going to say, man,
I
I feel
completely
like a
messed that
woman.
up in my head. How embarrassing.
Talk, Nick.
On live TV. Oh my gosh. This is what
That's
happens
so
when you
cool,
start working
though.
at 2 a.m.
That is so cool.
I think you worked in transgender ministry too long. Oh dear.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that don't impress me much. So,
But isn't that
that's
interesting,
really
like, to see it in that light?
Yeah.
And there's so much art that if you just stop for a second and you have that lens, or you open your ears to those messages, you realize, oh my gosh, everyone is singing the exact same thing.
Amen.
Everyone is freaking clueless about where to find their worth, where to find fulfillment, where to find love, and that's what all of these songs are expressing in one way or another.
Amen. I just looked at the 10 most downloaded songs on Spotify and the 10 on Google Play, and there's some overlap. So it's about 16 songs total, and 14 of the 16 referenced sex in some way, which speaks to our ache for sexuality, which we'll get into in future episodes. But now that you guys are aware of everyone singing about similar things, I've heard this from so many different evangelists and certainly a lot of chastity speakers, that what we listen to matters. So if a lot of people are singing about similar things, I think it's a transition that has taken place in my life. But why should someone explore Christian music, but maybe a genre or a sound that they would find in secular music? But why would the Christian version of that, even if it's not blatantly Christian, why would that be so much more attuned to our ache? Like, instead of listening to Lonely by Akon, what if they went to a song by Lauren Daigle, who's not blatantly screaming Jesus and scripture in your face, but is talking about this longing?
Yeah.
Is there a difference there in how we live our lives if everyone's singing about similar things?
Do you want to
Why not go
address that first?
I'll do like the preliminary take,
Okay.
and then you dig deeper. That's what we do.
Yeah. Small shovel, big shovel.
There we go. No, but like even the last week, I've been obsessed with this song by Marina and the Diamonds. And she is just very negative, like her lyrics are very negative, but the production of the song is beautiful. But I noticed my temperament, like my mood was so affected by the meaning of the song, because like we are very sensitive, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to stop listening to the song, even though I was literally obsessed with it, because she was just so dark. It was so sad. Like there was just no upliftingness in the song other than the production value. So I had to stop listening, and I don't know, like there are other artists like Troye Sivan,
Something like that.
But he's really cool. Like he's got a great sound.
Or Lauv, similarly.
Yeah, we kind of try to replicate that with our music because it's so in right now. And it's just really inspiring. But Nick and I were talking about this in the car, like during one of our road trips for a gig. We were trying to listen to these guys, and we just got like really sad feeling because all of the lyrics were so empty and just really depressing.
One
because
night
it's like all about
stands and
one
just-
night stands. There's no depth, and it's just it really impacts your emotions more than you think.
Yeah.
So.
It really tells you something when the top songs by the top artists are expressing this ache and leave you with this icky feeling. And it tells you there's a reason that those are top songs. There's a reason those are top artists. It's because the widest spread of people is relating to the messages and the vibes in those songs.
Amen.
We are struggling. We're really struggling right now. I think as an artist, like Alina mentioned, that we're trying to like emulate some of the sounds that those guys are producing. I think it's what she means by that is like, we're not trying to sound depressing.
What I say.
No, I know, but we're not trying to sound
I meant
depressing.
the production.
Right. Like the cool sounds,
Okay,
the things that are
No,
modern.
not being depressing.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, what as an artist kills me is like when I hear music, and particularly Christian music, because you were asking like, why should we listen to Christian music? Like I almost don't want to recommend Christian music for the most part. I just can't stand stuff that is disingenuous.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
Amen.
Or vanilla.
And as artists,
Or vanilla.
you hear
Vanilla
it, you
is the
see
word.
right hear right through it, if you will.
yeah, we hear it. Like it's just been so commercialized that there are these great skits on YouTube by that comedian. What's his name? The Christian comedian.
Oh, what is his name?
He basically pretends to be like a Christian record label, like offering a deal to someone, and they just go through this incredible like spiel of the different check marks they need to hit to basically produce like the perfect marketable Christian hit. And it's so true though. Like there are so many things that are so done over and over again by every Christian artist you hear on K-Love or whatever. And it's like, they're just producing, it's just a machine that's producing the same hot dog over and over again, slapping a different name on it sometimes, right? Because a lot of the names are the same. Like, it's so vanilla is what we call it in the industry. And it's like, I just want authenticity. And I think that's why people are drawn to a lot of this non-Christian music, is it's way more real. The truth of the Christian experience is not positive and encouraging K-Love. The truth of the Christian experience is picking up your cross. The truth of the Christian experience is that, you know what? Not every day is, I love my sister. She says, not every day is bubbles and farts, right? Like that's to say like, it's the Christian journey is hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any easier just for being a Christian or having faith.
But the difference is there's hope. Like
the difference is that there's hope and we're not alone.
Right. Yeah. There's like an ache, a depth, that burden, but there's a hope beyond it. So,
and I think the beauty that we ache for and how it's so echoed in secular music is because it's so vulnerable.
Yes.
And we ache for someone who is suffering like we are suffering.
Yes.
But makes it epic because we are drawn towards someone who is making their suffering sound like ours, but we don't see ours that way. I think there's a real struggle with seeing the beauty in our own struggles. Yeah. So we'd rather just enjoy the beauty of someone else's.
And we're sick of being lied to. And I think that so much of art today is one huge lie, whether it's certain movies or, what makes a movie a good movie? It's one that's authentic, one that tells a real story that creates a real character arc of that is relatable in its truth. We're getting so tired of the action movies in society. You don't see that in the box office because kids enjoy them, young people enjoy them, people that are obsessed with comics enjoy them. I enjoy them, but I don't enjoy them because I'm having some like existential experience. Right. I enjoy them because they're fun. But the movies that are like the really noteworthy movies are the movies that take you on a journey of the true human experience. And the same thing is true in music. And we just see right through that. And that's why Christian music, it's so easy to say for so many people that Christian music sucks. It's because so much of it is disingenuous. So I just want to encourage fellow artists out there, be genuine, be authentic in your art. We're trying to be. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be.
Amen.
So that leads to an interesting question. You guys write your own music, which is a really beautiful thing. Have you ever been just kind of like taken aback by some of the things that you come up with?
Yes. Songs write themselves.
We try not to let anything through the filter unless it makes us feel that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
For the most part, we're getting to a point now that.
Yeah.
But
praise God.
I just remember a lot of the songs I would tell Nick, what is this song telling you? And you just feel the song and let it lead you. And then we sharpen it. That lyric is trite. Let's make it more intense,
Yeah.
But it is pretty cool to see it form itself. Art is just such a cool thing to how it just, unravels.
And especially now as we've grown as artists and we've really kind of been honing our craft a lot and working together a lot better.
Yeah, which I never could work with other humans before. Right. I've always been a loner when I write songs, but now it's I can only write with Nick. Dang. Maybe one day I'll open up my horizons to other writers for now.
But some of the stuff that we've published, it predates kind of our evolution as artists. And so there is some stuff out there that I'm not super proud of that I just wish people just wouldn't hear. The stuff that's really kind of coming into who we are as artists is what's coming later this year. And I'm really excited for that to happen.
Nice. Stick around for that album drop. In fact,
speaking of the subject matter of today, the ache, the beauty, the whole album is a concept album about it's a romance album, both between two earthly lovers, but also between the ultimate divine bridegroom and his bride, the church. And that's the concept of the album. And we're just so stoked on what's to come in that album.
Dang.
And we're working with an amazing producer on it. Like it's going to be incredible.
Sounds like Song of Songs. That's
absolutely.
beautiful.
That's awesome. I'm sold.
Yeah, it's actually
I'm in.
as truth, like it's capital T, sacred,
Wow.
divine revelation.
You went for it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Just kidding. I'm a heretic now.
I was like, what are you
We're gonna
saying
cut
right
this
now?
Classic.
I was like, what?
When being an evangelist goes to your head. I am Jesus. I mean, wait, no.
Truer words than the Bible itself.
Oh, Nick.
It's from Dodgeball.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah. So you guys have the experience though of seeing people slain, sometimes literally, by your music. How powerful is that? Watching a crowd respond to you, because they're responding to, the Holy Spirit who wrote the song and who helped produce the song. But maybe Christ is there if you're doing a praise and worship with adoration type of vibe. But how does that kind of make there's a word that we learned at the TOB Institute called theophany, which is a tangible, visible experience with the divine.
Ooh, cool.
You guys are just watching people have theophanies right in front of you.
I don't like to look at humans.
So, Nick.
I'm
So
like,
Nick, you
no,
look
don't
at
do
them.
it. Nick is the one that's like, did you see
You're
those
watching people experience this ache for music and this ache for beauty in music.
Yeah.
In front of your eyes. Give us a glimpse.
I mean,
as an artist, what's that like?
I've been leading worship for a long time. And so one of the things that for me helps me in leading them, like I have a few rules of thumb. Number one, I have to be worshiping. Like if I'm not worshiping, how can I lead anyone else in worship?
Beautiful.
Right? How can a mountain guide
Right.
anybody without climbing
Where
the
to
next,
next,
with them?
guys? Yeah.
You can't be a mountain guide over Skype or something.
Yeah.
So anyways, this isn't how you Skype, by the way.
We're old.
You nailed it anyway.
FaceTime.
That perfectly worked.
So anyways, like for me, that's number one. And that's also the biggest pet peeve of mine. Like I have a hard time entering into worship when I'm in the congregation. If the person leading us in the musical worship, it just is not there. Like if they are not worshiping, it's something I feel immediately. And it's hard. Like I have to make a conscious effort to like step outside of that and like just have my own moment, because it's distracting, because I know how the hot dog is made. And if the hot dog is made poorly, it kills me. But, but anyways,
A lot of hot dogs in your
there's a
line
lot
of work. There's a lot of hot dogs.
just find the one metaphor and just stick to it,
That's smart. Yep.
Anyways, so if I'm not praying, I know that I need to like recenter myself. I need to like do a quick internal like prayer and meditation, take a minute, and then come back to it. And sometimes I'll literally do that. Like in the middle of a song where I'm leading worship, like if I'm distracted, I'll take a few extra seconds before I start the next verse to just recenter myself into prayer.
Wow.
And, it might sound to the congregation like I'm making a mistake, and they're not wrong. I was making a mistake. I got distracted, right? But like it's more important to me to be in the right place, because it's disingenuous to lead worship without worshiping. It is problematic though, sometimes, to be so deeply in prayer, because sometimes you miss cues. Like when I've led music for Mass, for the liturgy, there have been times where everyone's waiting for me to start leading the holy, 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 and I'm just there like in the zone. And then and when nothing's happening, I'm like, oh crap, I'm supposed to holy, holy. So yeah, but anyways, so that's number one. I have to be worshiping. I have to be in an authentic prayer myself. What was the original question?
What's it like to watch people?
Oh, right.
Experience this.
So for me, it's important as I'm leading them, I need to be engaging and like monitoring where they're at so that I know how to lead them, and so I am watching a lot of times, but it's not like I'm just observing. It's like, it's important for that connection. So because you're journeying together, you're journeying to the heart of Christ, you're journeying up the mountain. And the summit is the Eucharist of that mountain. I'm just going to keep writing these metaphors all night, baby.
It's perfect. There's got to be a hot dog on top of the mountain too, in some way.
I packed them.
Yeah, there you go. The mountain guide.
Yeah.
On Skype.
Everyone got their hot dogs. Anyways, yeah. So like to me, when I see people are praying like that. So I've had two really cool moments that are standout for me along those lines. One is, I had to do an event without Alina, unfortunately. I hate when I have to do events without Alina, but luckily now they're few and far between. But I did one out in California one time, and I don't recall having ever been to this parish before where I was doing this mission, and I was leading an original song, and the congregation, a ton of them, the lyrics were on the screen, a ton of them were singing it with their eyes closed and like legitimately singing it. And I was just like, what is happening right now? Like, how do they know this song? I'm not Matt Maher. I'm not famous. Like, how do they know this song? I'm not on the radio. Dang. How do they know this song? And they were just entering into worship with it. And it was so cool. And I almost started crying right then and there. And I don't cry because I don't feel. So
that's a lie.
But it was a really, really moving experience to see, because in our lives, like a goal for all of us should be to be instruments of the Lord in whatever capacity that means. If that means holding a door for an elderly woman, or a woman who is struggling with a bunch of groceries, or a woman who's struggling with a bunch of kids, or a man, it can be a man sometimes that you hold the door for. I'm not being a sexist, but I'm just saying, like, in whatever way we need to be instruments at any given point, like that is our ultimate expression of faith. It's not just our interior life. It's not just our sacramental, like all of the interior life, all of the sacramental grace that we receive. It's meant to pour out into the world in the form of us being his instruments. And as an artist, as a worship leader, that's my greatest calling, that and speaking, I think. And like to see what he's doing through me lead people deeper into his heart. And for it to not just be what I'm doing in that moment in leading worship, but for it to be a piece of music that I composed, hopefully inspired by him, that is like, there's nothing better. There's nothing better. And then the second one, much more easy to tell, is it was a mass once that Bishop Daniel Thomas was celebrating the mass, and it was a post-communion meditation. Actually, it was the same song, coincidentally.
Whoa.
You were there for this one. You might not remember it. It was years ago. It was shortly after he got placed here in Toledo. And he was sitting in the chair after communion was over with his eyes closed, singing the same song.
Wow.
And to see a bishop, a descendant of the apostles, it was like with his eyes closed, worshiping with the song that I wrote. I was just like, it was amazing.
That is awesome.
That is so beautiful. Thanks for your guys' ache to provide beauty to this world, especially through the gift that he's clearly given you, which is musical ability and speaking ability.
Well, if I can be half the musician that you are good looking, Joel, I would be doing okay.
The kingdom will be in good shape.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, we just appreciate you guys. This whole thing. I mean, AWAKEN Catholic and Awake the Ache. We all here, at this table see a vision that is similar to Christ's, I think, and that is that
praise God,
beauty converts hearts. And
awesome.
Thank you. And thank you guys for your yes to the Lord's prompting to do this, because you're going to be bringing important messages to people, messages of hope, because everyone feels the ache, but what not everyone knows is the hope that it can really be satiated.
Amen.
So true.
Yeah. And you guys, rebooked a gig so you could come to our wedding. So thanks for setting the example of what sacrifice.
I forgot about that. We rescheduled a gig to go to their wedding.
Yes, they did.
Phenomenal friends.
Incredible friends.
Beautiful wedding.
Yeah, the journey's just getting started, but so again, listeners and viewers, watch out for their CD later in the year. Keep in touch with AWAKEN Catholic. They're doing incredible things, and we hope Awake the Ache can convert souls like AWAKEN Catholic already has. So next week we'll dive into the ache for beauty via dance with a very special guest, and then we'll continue the exactly. There's the preview you needed for those who are watching, and then the following week we'll we'll continue with Awake the Ache for Beauty with a little different type of music. So thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Awake the Ache with
Joel.
and Kate.
If you're watching this episode on YouTube, make sure you click the like button, click the subscribe button, and click the bell so that you are notified when new Awaken Catholic media, videos, and material is released.
Also, it'd be super helpful if you could leave a review for the podcast on iTunes. At Awaken Catholic, we're committed to bringing souls to truth through beauty. This show and all the shows on Awaken Catholic are only possible because of amazing people like you.
You can become a part of what makes this all possible by making a tax-deductible donation for as little as the cost of a cup of coffee a week.
To join the Awaken Nation, visit awakencatholic.org/join.